A few days later, Kish visits Zenith to inform him about the investigation into the golem incident. She says they still haven't found solid evidence, but they believe the person behind the golem was someone named Guy. Zenith swears he'll find Guy one day and make him pay back all the money he owes, with interest. Kish comments that it'll be difficult since Guy left no trace, and the building where he found on had been completely cleaned and abandoned before the knights arrived. Zofia also conducted some investigations and found out that the guide had recently joined the underground guild and tend to act alone. Linga heard similar stories, and LV says it's common in the underground guild not to meddle in others' affairs. She believes that even if they question people in the guild, they won't get much out of it. Kish states that the guide has been placed on a wanted list and the knights are on his trail, but given how well he erased his presence, they might not find anything. The three gang leaders believe the guide will come out of hiding soon, and that it'll be hard to deal with him. Kish asks them to stop making random guesses, saying that's not how things work, but they call her a hypocrite, pointing out that she's just speculating too. Kish explains that she has the experience and the information to formulate theories, which is different from mere guessing. Zenith comments that it's nice they're talking like civilized people, but asks them to at least look at each other while talking, as it makes him uncomfortable. Kish says that, as a respected royal knight, she can't sit at the same table as three gang leaders, and the demon girls reply that they don't want her there either. Fed up with the nonsense, Zenith kicks him out of the clinic because he wants a rest. He then sits down to relax by reading a few books when Lily approaches him, looking concerned. She comments that Zenith has seemed tired since the golem attack and suggests something to help him feel better. The two of them should go to a hot spring together. Just as she's about to say this, Zofia suddenly enters, surprising Lily. Zofia suggests that, since the golem incident is still weighing on Zenith's mind, they should go to a hot spring. Zenith seems to like the idea, but Lily gets annoyed for losing credit for the suggestion. Zofia leaves, and shortly after, Linga shows up looking for something, starting the same conversation about the golem attack and suggesting they go to the hot spring. Zenith says it's a good idea, but before he can say he's already going with Zofia, Linga leaves saying he's promised to go with her now. Lily gets even more upset. Soon after, Love appears, and Zenith aggressively asks if she also came to invite him to the hot spring, which makes her embarrassed. She says they must be soulmates for thinking alike, but Zenith replies that his true soulmates are Linga and Zofia since they had the same idea. Soonish also shows up, and Zenith realizes she also wants to go to the hot spring. Frustrated, he says it's a good idea. Lily is genuinely hurt and stays silent, while Zenith wonders why the girls are so obsessed with hot springs. He then asks Lily what she was trying to say earlier, and she yells that it was nothing important. Carmela arrives shortly afterward, teasing Lily for being outdone by all her rivals, and tells Zenith she hasn't been to a hot spring in years, so she's coming along too. A little later, Zenith heads to the hot spring to relax and ease the fatigue in his body. He thinks that his original plan of being an underground healer and living a peaceful life is far from reality, as things have already spiraled out of control. Still, he enjoys these moments of private relaxation. Little does he know, the peace won't last long, because the bathhouse door suddenly opens and Zofia walks in. Zenith panics, saying it's the men's bath. She replies that she put up a sign saying the bath was being cleaned so no one else would come in. Zofia steps into the water and tells Zenith she wants to be even more aggressive to tease him, but knows it's not a good idea. She starts telling him how she changed after meeting him and moves closer, trying to distract him with conversation. Zenith catches on, and Zofia decides to get bold, wrestling with him to get closer. At that moment, Linga appears and jumps on Zenith, saying she's feeling dizzy. Zofia grabs her, and the two begin to argue. Suddenly, Lo emerges from the water, saying she's been waiting there for Zenith the entire time. Linga and Zofia attack Lo, and while the three of them fight, Zenith tries to slip away and find peace. Then, Krish storms into the room, shouting at the demon girls for being shameless, as it's a men's bath. The girls tell her to stop acting like she isn't there for Zenith too, and the four of them begin fighting among themselves. Zenith finally loses his patience and kicks them out, sending them to the women's bath. Coincidentally, the healer named Yum is also there, having come to town for work. She's surprised to see girls from different species bathing together, and later learns their group includes an elf and a specter. Upon seeing Carmela, Human tries to get her exercise, but Carmela simply phases to the wall and enters the men's bath to bother Zenith. Later, everyone gathers for dinner, but although Kish wants to sit with them, her pride gets the best of her, and she sits at a separate table. That night, Zenith puts Lily to sleep and then goes to have a drink with Carmela. He still seems tired, so she asks if dinner was enjoyable. He says it was good at first, but then the girls started a drinking contest where the winner would get to sit on his lap In the end, they all passed out, and Zenas had to carry them to their rooms. Carmela laughs and tells him to enjoy these silly moments while he can, because he'll soon be dragged into more complicated affairs. Zenas asks her to stop cursing him and questions how she even got there, since she's allergic to sunlight. Carmela explains that she can possess items she's connected to, and during the day, she was inhabiting an old staff Lily carried. Zenas asks if the staff belonged to her when she was alive and wants to know what exactly she used to do. But as always, she refuses to talk about her past and instead pours him a drink. The next morning, everyone is awakened by an explosion in the kitchen, and Yum is the first to react. She rushes over and finds the owner collapsed on the floor with serious burns, as firestones had exploded. She begins first aid and tells his wife that he needs to be taken to a hospital for proper treatment, though there's a chance he may never use his hand again. Just then, Zenas arrives, and Human asks for help transporting the man to the nearest hospital, which has advanced healing circles. Zenas has never heard of such things and is curious, but says the man doesn't need a hospital for these injuries. He turns to leave, saying his ride is already waiting, but before going, he heals the man for free, simply because he enjoyed the food. Yum is disappointed, thinking Zenas abandoned the injured man, but then the man suddenly stands up, confused but completely healed. Yum is stunned, realizing that Zenas must be one of the most elite healers to treat such a serious injury instantly. Back at the Royal Hospital, Yum reports everything to her superior. He says the country would love to hire Zenas if he's really that skilled, but they probably don't have enough information to track him down. Since he healed someone for free and disappeared, he's likely a good man and can be left alone. However, upon hearing that Zenas wore a black coat, the chief becomes intrigued and decides to look for Zenas personally. Human asks what changed his mind, and he says he wants to meet another elite healer like himself. Days later, Zophia's brother shows up with an unconscious man, Human superior. The man was found in the sewers, coughing up blood, and the brother brought him to Zenas. Zenas lays him on the table and begins examining his body for illness. He discovers the lungs are in a critical state due to a disease known as red lung. He tells Lily and the lizard to step back, as the disease is deadlier than Ebola and more contagious than COVID. However, Zenas starts to doubt the diagnosis, since the illness was supposedly eradicated years ago thanks to a cure. As he considers other possibilities, the man suddenly gets up and compliments Zenas on his diagnosis. He introduces himself as Reincarnated, an elite healer from the Royal Hospital. Zenas demands to know what he's doing there. Human rushes in, worried about Reincarnated, who deliberately fell ill to meet Zenas. Zenas asks if he really has red lung. Reincarnated coughs up blood and explains he took a potion that mimics the symptoms of the disease, followed by an antidote to recover quickly. Zenas wants to know where he got such medicines, and Reincarnated says he developed them himself while researching the cure. Zenas realizes Reincarnated must be someone important, and Human begins idolizing him, saying he discovered cures for many dangerous diseases and earned the title of elite healer. Reincarnated laughs and says he was curious about Zenas, who he heard was a skilled underground healer in a black coat, but he's not the man he was looking for. Zenas explains the coat belonged to his master, whose name he never learned. Reincarnated suspects Zenas is a disciple of the man he's searching for and asks him to work at the Royal Hospital, as they have a complex case. At that moment, the three demi-human girls arrive, warned by Carmela, ready to confront Human in case they try to take Zenas. Reincarnated changes tactics and proposes making it an official mission to hire Zenas temporarily. Zenas agrees it's a good idea. The girls aren't happy, but Zenas says he needs elite healers now that his identity is exposed. He also recalls that the red lung medicine used to be distributed for free in the sewers and feels he owes a debt. Plus, he wants to learn more about his master, since Reincarnated might have known him. He accepts the job at the Royal Hospital.